Good to see you all. I'm so happy to be here with you in our English speaking meeting. What I want to talk about today is compassion. Uh, I've been digging into compassion for a period of time, and it's really interesting to see how God will, how compassion can really transform who we are. How compassion can really, how our brain is, the whole brain system and our whole system is just wired in a way that we are made to show compassion. And what I want to look into is how can I live a healthy lifestyle out of compassion? And you can be excited about how the brain is wired for you to start feeling better as you start showing compassion. So we in Catch the Fire, our main vision is healthy families, like building healthy families that build healthy communities. And we love the presence, we love transformation, we love the encounter of God, and through that, a healthy family is built. Because I cannot build anything on my manly wisdom or on some good advices. What I can build on is the presence of God, the encounter of Him encountering me, and transformation coming from that. So it's as we are in Matthew 5:7, it says, "How satisfied are you when you demonstrate tender mercy? For tender mercy will be demonstrated to you." So instead of judging, instead of talking badly, we can speak life and joy. And we are so blessed to be able to bless other people. So we are so blessed to be in the state of blessing others. And it's an amazing thing that they did a research on the brain, and the transformation that happens as you start showing compassion. But Matthew 5:7 really talks about this, like when we show the mercy, that we will gain mercy. So one face of God, or one side of God, really reflects the compassionate understanding of our human weaknesses and restoration to those who are fallen, or restoration to those who have a broken side of them, which is all of us. Because like God is in the business of restoring people, and as He restores us, He doesn't restore us to our human nature, but He restores us into the godly identity that He has called us in. And it's really important for us as people to allow God to love us in a way that we understand. And as He is, like His side is restoring us, so we can shine, because you were meant for God to shine. You were meant to shine out the darkness out of the life of your life and the life of others. And as we start to shine and we start to walk in our identity and our authority, God starts bringing us to this table of love where we can start rule and reigning with Him. And like compassion is probably by far the most effective thing that can affect our brain in a way to draw us into live a happy life. It's written on like in the CrossFit gym that I used to go to. Could it be that those who are happy are those who contribute to the happiness of others? Could it be that those who want to bless others, those who want to build up others and are pushing or are giving of themselves to make other people happy, are the ones who get happier? I believe it. I believe it and I know it. In Psalm 145 says, "They shall eagerly utter the memory of your abundant goodness, and will shout joyfully of your righteousness. The Lord is gracious and merciful, slow to anger, and great to loving kindness." So in the Passion Translation, it says something like this: "Our hearts bubble over the celebrated fame of our marvelous beauty, bringing a bliss to our hearts. We shout with ecstatic joy over the breakthrough for us. You are kind and tender-hearted, but to those who don't deserve it, and very patient with people who fail you. Your love is like a flooding river, overflowing its banks with kindness. God, everyone sees your goodness, for you are tender. Love is blended in everything you do. So, if this is God and his restoration for his people, if this is his heart for transforming us. So because as we step into his presence, as we start living in his presence through encounters with him, transformation starts happening on the inside of us. And as transformation starts happening on the inside of us, we start bubbling over the celebrated fame of his marvelous beauty. And we fall in love with the King of Kings. And he is not only the King of Kings, but he is our bridegroom. And we fall head and heel in love with our King. He is the song of my heart. He is the one who brings joy to my sadness. He is the one who took the dust that I was and made something beautiful. He is the one who saw life in the midst of death that I was living in. So like before I got to know God, I was a pimp, I was a drug dealer, I was a violent guy, 6 brutal assaults, one leading to a death of a young man that transformed like that, and I got 6 years in prison that transformed me in the way that I knew that my life was over. As I felt that prison cell closed behind me, I knew I would never be anything again. And you know, taking a life of a young man, like a 21-year-old guy, and living with the pain of that in my heart, I knew there was no turning back for me. It was done, it was over, it was zero, no more. But God had different plans, and the plans of God were not that it was done, even though I said it's done, it's starting. So, out of his compassion and his love that bubbled over me, and I felt the ecstatic joy of the breakthrough that he broke through for me. It's not that I am so good, it's that he is my breakthrough. And I am simply showing up and standing in my feet, and as I just stand firm, he is breaking through for me. And even in the times that we are in today, where we are seeing like the COVID, like going all over the world, and it's a pandemic that is like everybody's in fear and anxiety, we need to remember that we are connected to the almighty living God, and he is coming into my soul, and from my soul, he's touching every cell of my body, and every sickness and every disease, he just dies, because he's king. Because the revelation of my Father bringing revelation to me that I am the beloved, and because I am beloved, he is living in me, and as he is living with me, he's messing with my DNA, and he's making me perfectly in his image. Because it's not about me, it's about my yes. It's about me saying just yes. I don't need to be perfect. I don't need to be full of fame. I don't need to be full of wisdom. I don't need to have my degrees. I just need to say yes, because he is mighty. He said to Gideon, like he was like Gideon, who was afraid. He was hiding, and he said to Gideon when he was hiding, "Hey, mighty warrior." And that's my God. When I am hiding, when I am small, he's looking at me and saying, I'm not done with you. My compassion hasn't even touched your heart. Because when my compassion touches your hearts, you transform. Because my compassion, says the Lord, is the thing that transformed me from the inside out. Jesus was moved by compassion. And he wants us to be moved by compassion as well. And because the Lord is gracious and full of compassion. He's slow to anger and great in mercy. So, everyone sees his goodness. And we need to be seeing his goodness. Because his goodness is what it's all about. He is my goodness. The goodness of God touches my heart and it leads me to repentance. We cannot beat people up with the Bible and believe that they will transform. We can beat them with the Bible and they will transform out of a church, but we need to love them with the compassion that Jesus gave us. We need to give that compassion and connect to people, because there's something about being connected. It's not about being a bench warmer on the bench, sitting, listening to sermons, worshiping from your seat. It's about being connected to a greater source that we unify together and we make him famous together. So in our hearts, so Jesus, he showed the compassion and love to those who were needy and low class. Like he went to the low class people and to those who were needy, and he showed them compassion. And he brought compassion to people that other people wouldn't even look at, or they would even curse at those people. But Jesus came and he showed them compassion. He did not say, oh, you can do something for me, so I'm going to do something for you. No, that's not the love of God. That's the love of the world. I'll love you if you can do something for me. That's a love of the world. But we need the love of God. I will love you no matter what you can do for me or you can do anything for me. I'm just going to love you very well. Because it's not about me being all fancy or me being all like looking good. It's about me showing God's compassion in every area of my life. How well am I loving my wife? How well am I loving my children? How well am I loving those who can't do anything for me? So it's really interesting that his word and his action, they showed the nature of God that is full of mercy and grace. So Jesus was here to show the mercy of God. He was here to show the face of God, the nature of God. And the nature of God is that he's full of mercy and grace. He's full of mercy and grace. So compassion is the foundation of the confidence of Christianity. So if I can be compassionate, I can be confident in Christianity, because compassion is really it's an active verb. It's not me showing like empathy and understanding. It's me really changing the atmosphere for someone. So it's not like in Hebrews 4:14-16, it says, therefore, since we have a great high priest who has passes through the heavens, Jesus, the Son of God, let us hold fast to our confession. For we do not have a high priest who cannot sympathize with our weaknesses, but one who has been tempted in all things as we are, yet without sin. Therefore, let us draw near with confidence to the throne of grace, so that we may receive mercy and find grace to help in time of need. So Jesus showed it in action. He was healing those who were weak. He was giving them power. He was healing the sick. He was comforting those who needed comfort. He gave the hungry something to eat. He found and forgave the lost sinner. He gave rest to those who have burdens or who feel like they have been left alone. Jesus' compassion is our role model. Like, we need to look at the compassion of Jesus, and we need to start behaving in the way that he behaved. Because in the world that we are today, where there's fear all over the place and people are devastated looking for God, they don't need you to come and rule them. They need you to come and love them. Because as we start loving them, the transformation is going to happen on the inside of them. Just like when God loved us. It was not me or my mercy that transformed me. It was God's love, his first love, that came into my life. And it transformed me from a thug, sociopath, into a son of God. And I've been living my life as a son of God for the last 13 years. Doing a lot of mistakes, doing a lot of things that I shouldn't have done. But it's not about how many times you fall. It's about how many times you stand up. It's not about like, oh, you made a mistake. It's about, did you learn from that mistake? Did you learn that that was not good for you to step into that hole and you're not going to step into it again? So Jesus was this word of compassion. So the attributes of caring and compassion is the character of God and Jesus Christ in action. So it's a good deed. It's a good thinking towards those who have some kind of a problem or are in some kind of a difficulties that they can't get out. So as we are in that difficulty, it's easy to be loved out of that. But as we start condemning people who are making mistakes, it's easy for them to close up. How do I know this? Because I know this from my own life. And so compassion is not an emotion. And it's so really, if we can only get this, that compassion is not an emotion, but it's action. It's an action. It's like it's not like empathy. Like, let's say that I'm walking down the street and downtown, and I see this guy, and he's so hungry, and he says to me, I'm so hungry. And I say to him, yes, I understand. I've been hungry so many times. I know that hunger feeling in your stomach, and it's hurting, and it's not good. And wow, I hope that you will just find food really fast. And I will pray that you will be that you will find your food, and you won't feel like that. I'm so sorry that you have to feel like this. Empathy. Compassion is not empathy. Compassion is saying all the same stuff, but like, oh, I have a sandwich in my pocket, and I mean, I don't have much, but you can have half of mine. You can have half of my sandwich. So that's compassion. So it's a quality of care, a sympathy, a characteristic of God and Jesus Christ, usually shown in acts of kindness and consideration towards those in any kind of difficulty or crisis. So how we treat and how we care and how we empathy and how we show compassion, how much we show of that, it should really reflect, our compassion should really reflect the compassion God has for the world. That we should be a good mirror for the compassion of God to the city. We should care about the people who are broken. We should care about the people who are stuck in their sin. We should care about the smallest ones, because our compassion should be a mirror of God's compassion. Because God's compassion says, you're better than that. Stand up. I have faith in you. How can I help you? How can I love you? Wow, that must be so hard for you. And just actually we can use sentences like that. Like I work as a therapist, and showing people compassion is number one healing, I think. Because when you just say to people, and like especially for our men, like we men, we just want to fix. When we see a problem, we just want to fix it. Just give me a hammer and I'll just fix that for you. But that doesn't work with emotions and emotional pain, because you can't fix that. Only God can fix that. But you can be there and you can point in the direction. And what I really love to say is something like, oh wow, that must be really hard for you to feel like that. Wow, that must be so hard. Like, how can I help you when you feel like that? Instead of trying to fix, you just have to read your Bible. You just come to our church. You need to just do this and do that. No. Just sit in the emotion. They did a research on the brain. It was actually a small seminar that I took, that the neurobiology of compassion. And it's really, really interesting, because the neurobiology of compassion is like it's a scientific thing. I think it was over 20 doctors that participated in it, and we're looking at compassion and how to apply that in therapeutic in therapy. So what they did is this: they measured the brain. And people like Freud, they used to say that, like, the rewarding system of the brain is made when you feel good. Like when something good happens to you or your family, the rewarding system goes on. But it's a self-based thing. And that's contradiction to my Bible. And so I never believed in that. And I was so happy to find this research that they did on the brain, because it's so in line with the Bible, because it says that what they did to people is they made them sit in the pain of other people and then react to the pain, compassion. So for every day, they would show them some kind of a pain and then help them to react to that pain. Like, so it's so many times that when we feel pain, especially the pain of others, it reminds us of our own trauma, and we just push it away because it's too hurtful. But all we need to do is to look someone in the eyes and say, that must be so hard for you. I love you. How can I be there for you? So what was really interesting, because as soon as they went into the pain, the amygdala in the brain, which is in the midsection of the brain, it just started to send signals to the amygdala. And so cortisol and adrenaline started to flood the body of the people, and it gives you the shakes and it dries your mouth, and it's almost like fear and anxiety comes from that place of the brain. And as this was happening in their brains, they would get this fear-based emotions. And then on the other end, like in the prefrontal cortex, in the front brain, we have the rewarding system, and we have the thought, like taking good decision based on good, like based on a good emotions. We can connect in that side of our brain, and but the signals didn't go there as the pain came. As they saw the pain, the signal just stopped in the amygdala. So they made them react to the pain. And I love I don't remember the exact words, but it was something like this. Could it be that the ancient truth is really true? That loving others is really what we're supposed to do? Because after only 14 days of people daily interacting with action for the pain of others, there was a shift in the brain. So instead of the neurobiology just going to the amygdala, it shifted to the prefrontal cortex, and it started to give them oxytocin and dopamine and serotonin, which is the happiness, like with the joyful hormones. So could it be that you were really made to show compassion? Could it be that your whole brain is wired in a way for you to expand the kingdom of God on the inside of you? Because when Paul talks about, he talks about like that we need to start making new habits in our brain, and then he also says like we need to be strengthened through the inner man. And as we get strengthened through our inner man, the expansion of the kingdom starts to expand on the inside of us. And could it really be that God gave us a brain to help us? Could it be that if we just do what the Bible tells us to do, and we just start sharing the love of God in action, not only in words? Oh, I'll pray for you. I was watching the movie Overcomer, and he went into this hospital room to this guy and with his pastor, and accidentally went into the wrong room, but started to talk to that guy. And then he said, like when he went away, he said, I'll pray for you. And then he met the guy again. And the guy in the hospital room, he said, did you really pray for me? No, I didn't. Like, what if we just start loving people really well? What if we just start, what if the solution to everything, what if the solution to this world is really loving others as you love yourself? What will happen if you really start putting others in the same place that you are in? When you really start putting all your emotions and all your thinking and all your statuses and all your logos and everything aside, and just allow the true you shine forth in the love of God. Because it's the love of God that is going to make you happy. Because as you start doing all these good things, your brain starts sending good feeling hormones into your body. And what does that do? It strengthens the good behavior. Could it be that God is really such a good father that he wants to strengthen our good behavior? Could it be that he's really such a good father that when we behave in a good way, that he will make the brain reward us for that? Because what he really made you for is to bring the kingdom of God in every sphere of your life. That was the plain purpose for your life as you said yes to Jesus. The main purpose is to grow the kingdom on the inside of you so it will outshine the darkness around you and people will know that he is the king. That there is no other king than him. So as we start being this mirror for God, and like in John 1, like 1 John 3:18, like let's not love only with words, but let's love in action and truth. That you will be known that we are on the truth side because we have peace in our hearts when we look at him. I want to have peace in my heart in the last days when I come in front of him. I want to have peace here. That's the thing that I want. I want peace from God. I want to have peace when I look at him. I want to hear the words, good and faithful son. I don't want to be like, and allowing compassion to grow and really look at the pain of others and be better and better at sitting in their pain without letting it affect who you are, but calling them into the freedom that you have already gained. Because if my freedom is not setting other people free, I need to reach out to people more. Because my victory, like my abuse, I was abused as a kid, and it was one of the most horrible, shameful things that happened to me. And that shameful, horrible thing that broke me on the inside is setting people free by hundreds today. Like I've helped hundreds of people who went through abuse, helping them to forgive, helping them to shine again, helping them to take the shame and put it where it's supposed to be. To take the shame and put it on the cross and forgive and walk in freedom. So it's really out of this new way of thinking about compassion that so much has transformed in my life. And I'll give you an example from my own life, because my brother, he was drinking, and like two of my sisters have died out of drug overdose, and it's really hard to lose both of your sisters to the drug world. Not overdose, both of them. One died in withdrawal, and one had a poisoned MDMA that draw her to death. But and then my other brother was drinking as well and using drugs, and usually when I see him when he's been using drugs, I start trying to control. Oh, you have to stop. Oh, you have to do this, and oh, you just have to do this and that, and always telling him what to do. And he would say something like, "Oh, I'm going to rehab," and I would say, "Oh, it's not enough to go to rehab. You have to work the steps. You have to give everything to God. You have to do this. You have to do that. You have to do that, this and that." But after this message, and be focused on this message for, I think it was 3 weeks or something, I met him, and he just shot some drugs in himself, and it was his birthday. And I looked at him, and I was moved by the compassion of God. Even though this fearful thing in my brain, because my brain says when someone in my family is shooting drugs, they're going to die. And that's just the amygdala in my brain. And just for 3 weeks focusing on this compassion thing, I looked him in the eyes, and I put my hand on him, and I said, "This must be so hard for you. You know, I love you so much. Like, how can I be there for you when you feel like this?" And I was just tenderly just giving him a affectionate touch and loving him really well. And I was free from the fear just by showing other people compassion. So the fear that had bounded me towards my family was totally gone from my body. just by giving 3 weeks into this message of compassion. And I'm not talking about, because what they said as well, the most interesting thing is this, that when it's not out of love, it doesn't work. So as we love people, as we defining compassion is really hard, because it's not just doing good deeds. Because what real compassion does, it stops fear and it activates courage in your brain. So compassion, it moves your brain from the anxiety and fear-based emotions over to the rewarding systems. So, and it makes us more qualified to face hard emotions. And we start standing better when we are suffering, when we feel anxiety, that we are facing it better when we have compassion in our hearts. It's really interesting. So in our brain as well. So it transforms the vagus nerve through changed and better heart beating. Can you imagine? There's a changed and a better heart beating after showing compassion for a period of time. And the vagus nerve, the nerve that is in your spine, changes the heartbeat. So this is very, very important, because these two chains in the body, it allows you to cope with more pressure. Because heart of compassion gives you a better mental health, and it refreshes your soul, and it helps you to be better with people. And we are the people of the people. We need to be the people of the people. We need to be calling the people into the goodness of God. But if I can't have compassion, how can I call people into this? Because I don't want to call people into rules or regulations. So what gives compassion character is one part of the nervous system that transforms the stress reaction that says to the body, fight or flight. And it changes it to the caring and the courage. So instead of fight or flight, you get care and courage. So let's start showing real compassion to people, because then the caring system will walk, and the brain will shift. The brain is a perfect creation, and it's made perfectly for you to sustain and live in the glory of God. It's made perfect for my conclusion, looking at all of this brain stuff from the point of view of compassion and joy and these big words of the Bible, is that we have a tool that is called the brain, that helps us to expand the kingdom of God on the inside of us. And as we preach the kingdom of God, they will be pressing in. And as we just start focusing on doing the stuff, not just talking about or listening to a compassionate thing, but start doing it from love, that's transforming anything. So I'm going to read a little bit just for this from this transcript of a clinical application of compassion. Now, as I said a moment ago, although most people think compassion as niceness or the feeling of calm, it's actually more like courage. Some people even describe it as a paradox, because compassion involves feeling stress, which is not calm at all. But at the same time, the fear circuitry that is in the amygdala goes down, and caregiving and rewarding circuitry increases. So it ends up being distressed as a centered feeling. At that point, what really characterizes compassion is the parts of the nervous system that can transform a kind of a fight or flight stress response and even freeze stress response. you start to see that the brain and the nervous system start to shift you into what looks more like a caregiving response or a courage response. This is often rooted in the belief that there is something you can do in this moment that will make a difference, a sense or a kind of, so a sense of safety or a resource. So if you're motivated to respond to that suffering and you feel like, you know what, there's an action I can take that will make the difference, or if I stay put instead of running in the other direction, it's going to actually bring some relief to the person who's suffering. So the brain is really helping you to connect and to transform and to take the bondage out of people. Can you imagine? Can you imagine that? These 3 pounds, I think it's 3 pounds. Correct me if I'm wrong, but these 3 pounds are made to help you to be holy. So, like, they say the best way of bringing your kids up is to reward the good behavior, right? Like, that's what they say. That's what, like, in the therapeutic world, in the academic world, like, that's the best thing to do, is just to reward the good behavior. Funny that your brain does it to you as well. Funny that God made your brain in a way for the best possible thing to make you grow into who you're supposed to be in God. Wow. That this stuff is so amazing. And what I love about digging into the academic is to find God in the midst of the academic and see the perfectness of the creation of God. Because that's what it really is. It's a perfect creation. So if we can help people to cultivate more compassion, we are going to improve their ability to face what they fear and recover from setbacks and adversity. So it's in our nature to try to fix the pain with something on the outside like we can have. It doesn't matter what it is. So, okay, I wish I had a board to draw on, but so the amygdala sends stress reaction. We form anxiety and fear out of that. Because our brain is so unfamiliar with that and is so bad for your body, the brain pushes you into addiction or fleeing behavior. And you can flee into books, you can flee into TV shows, you can flee into the refrigerator, you can flee into drugs, and you can start self-medicating your brain, because you cannot live in this fear and anxiety side of your brain for too long without self-medicating. So it's really the brain that is working against you as you get self-centered and as you start, like, if you are in that fear-based reaction and stress emotions, but all God, like, because it's so natural for the brain to feel good that he pushes you to do something that would give you a short fix. What did Paul say? The good things that I want to do, I don't do, and the bad things that I don't want to do, I do. What is that? That's the brain doing things to fix itself, because you're not living, because there's a better way that is being spoken through your brain, and it's fixing you into that, and that's the oxytocin, the dopamine, and the serotonin that start flowing your body as you start being moved by compassion as Jesus was. Only if you do it out of love. This is crazy. So, what compassion is action. And we need to be full of courage, where we choose to put our focus on the pain instead of trying to put our focus away from the pain. And that's the courage thing, Looking, everybody can be good when everything is going for you. But the real courage is to look at the man in the mirror. Is to really focus on what broke you, what came against you, why am I behaving in that way? So compassion allows you to change even quicker. It allows you to grow in a way that you've never grown before, because you allow yourself to see what's really going on. You allow yourself to have compassion on yourself. And they even say like that, and this is just from the academic, they even say like, as we teach patients to show compassion on themselves, we de-shame them. And the shame goes away from the body as they just start feeling for themselves. Some people say the glass is half empty or half full. Doesn't matter. Just sit in what you're going through. Just allow the pain to be there. And just feel compassion. This must be so hard for you. And just be compassionate on yourself. The beautiful, and this is all straight from what they were doing. The beautiful thing about compassion is that the heart has the capacity to hold the sufferings of life, along with the incredible mysterious beauty and magnificence. Your heart, our hearts have the capacity to hold it all in compassion. So our hearts have the capacity to hold everything in compassion. We are living in times where we are battling fear and anxiety. And I'm not talking about the COVID-19 now, but just like people are battling fear and anxiety like never before. We've been looking into the mirror of our neighbor for the last 10 years. I think it was Bill Murray that said it. For the last 10 years and envying our neighbor of what he has instead of being gracious or thankful for what we have. And there's nothing compassionate about envy. What if we would scroll through the Facebook to find someone to love? What if we would scroll through the Facebook to find someone that we can really show compassion on? What if we start showing this compassion that will transform the nation? What if we can transform the world through the compassion that was shown to us, that we learn to show to others, and as we start loving people from here? Because sometimes we need to do something to enlighten the pain, to make the pain go away. But sometimes we just need to sit in the pain just as it is. In the Garden of Gethsemane, our King, our bridegroom, he said, if there's any other way, Father, if there's any other way, take this cup from me. But if there's not any other way, I'll go through this pain. And he was seeing pain like never before. There was so much pressure on his whole system that he was sweating blood. And that happens when you're under such a pressure that the small veins in your skin, they start cracking. And when the sweat is coming forth, it's colored with the blood of the veins that are bursting on the inside of you. But he just sat in the pain. He sat in that pain for you, so you could free others from their pain. He sat in that pain so he could love you really well, because he wanted to die for you, so he could show you the love of God, so he can reconnect and redo the connection between you and the Father in heaven. Let's just ask God to teach us this week and to show compassion, to sit in our pain, to love people in the midst of our pain. Find someone you can love, someone who can't do anything for you, and just pour out the compassionate heart of the God towards them. You can connect to us at Reykjavik at Catch the Fire. You can. We have home groups going on online now at the Zoom. We want to love you. We want to take care of you. We want to show courage for you when you need that. We want to be bursting with joy with you when you need that. So we just bless you and thank you for this. Have a nice week. We'll be here next week at the Sunday. Thank you very much.